From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 4 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
champions and city, everybody and city, and city, let's go there. The champions and city, everybody and city, and city, we are champions. We are champions. We are champions. We are champions. Champions say hallelujah, 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 champions say hallelujah. Over and over again we see, the touch of your greatness, Lord, in us. Whoa. Come join me sing now, let's celebrate together. Come join me praise now, let's jubilate together. The champions and city, everybody and city, and city, let's go there. The champions and city, everybody and city, and city, we are champions. We are champions. We are champions. We are champions. Champions say hallelujah, 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 champions say hallelujah.
Yes, we are champions. Greetings to all of us who are on ABC and welcome to our program, Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia. Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia is part of the programs that we have for the Ambazonian people and for those who are working together with the Ambazonians to see that when they get back home, it will not be business as unusual. Unusual means in a very negative way. And so we welcome you, televiewers and all the Ambazonian people on this program today, the 13th of October 2023. With me in the program today, we'll be having a good number of, two of them to be precise, of quality and caliber to take us to what we have for us today. But before we go, we have decided that this year, the Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia is spotlighting on ethical issues plaguing Ambazonians at home and also abroad. And the more Ambazonians engage in discussions on ethical issues now, the better for our chances, for an excellent short transition. Meaning that as we begin to educate ourselves now, when we transit into our nation physically, it shall be very different and very easy to go. Applied knowledge and the right mindset is the most powerful force in nation building. There is no liberty without morality. We are equipping ourselves with the necessary knowledge and molding the right mindset during this period of war. That's why we come every other given Friday to educate the Ambazonian people on what plans and what we intend to do to ameliorate the lives of our people. And last week, or last 2 weeks, because actually, last 3 weeks, when we had our last discussion, I think that was on the 14th of September or 26th of September, if I'm not mistaken, one of those days. When we had our last discussion, we discussed on building a better Ambazonia from past experiences. And we looked into the system that existed before the, I call it captured, that they try to capture us and make us slaves. We looked into how money should not buy power like it is doing today. And like I said, building a better Ambazonian for the past, from the past experiences was the topic we treated. And under those topics, we looked at how money should not buy power, as we have seen it increasingly done in our society today. We also looked at the ethics of giving and receiving gifts as government officials, as employees, as people of the contract officers or Ambazonians who have been who have one office or the other to carry out activities for the people of Ambazonia. We also looked at the electoral code and strong institutions, not strong people. We looked into that. But if we build strong institutions, whereas no human or nobody in government should take powers into his hands, that would make a better Ambazonia. And related to stories like when the Sodukoton was to be sold, well, the prime minister who's supposed to be the head of government arranged and they were to privatize it. Some Nordists came out with money to buy over the Sodukoton, but a minister of France, a francophone minister who was the finance minister at that time, came out and rejected the prime minister's decision, and the Sodukoton was sold to France instead to the indigenes of that part of La République that wanted to buy that entity. So we said we are going to be building but strong institutions and not strong people. We also talked of this Fulani man who is trying to, Dampolo, who is trying to, kill his way and have the whole village, released to his cattle railing. Then we also talked of signatories to contracts and agreements and treaties. We also talked about that it was going to be a very transparent system where back door and under the table hand exchanges were not going to be accepted. And we are beginning to build that right now. We also talked of the constitution to be drafted shall involve also the ordinary people, and the constitution shall carry basic laws. And we know that basic laws in most constitutions are derived from the Holy Bible, even though they are not quoted chapter this, verse this. But most basic natural laws that human beings know are taken from that intercontinental book called the Bible, where morality is going to be the key to our constitution during the drafting. And so with that, we did a number of other things that we shared with the people of Ambazonia. And I just brought this little recap. Barrister Fru is right inside here with us. Before we go ahead, we want to find out from Barrister Fru if he has something to add to what we discussed in this particular program, because he was there live. So Barrister, greet your people and then go ahead to share that which you have.
Thank you, Pastor Commando. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all Ambazonians around the world, particularly in the home front, in the continental Americas, in Europe, in Asia, in South and Central America. I bring you fraternal greetings, and I want to tell you that for us to continue to navigate towards our freedom, we need to know the environment from which we are working from. Of course, my name is Barrister Fru, and I'm here this morning to serve you and to give you a little bit of the information that I have. Thank you very much, Pastor Commando, for inviting me, and I'm here to assist in letting our people know about the ethical conditions that we'll be working on when we become a state, and we are going to become a state in no distant future. Like you said, Pastor Commando, from last time, one of the things I dealt with more extensively was the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. It was going to be a masterpiece developed by the people, voted by the people, and brought into being by the people, and will be applied by the people. I don't have much to add to what you have said, but that is what I think was very crucial for what we discussed last time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barrister. Thank you very much. Today, we are dealing with the topic, the consequences of the unethical treatment of former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonia, in 1961 by the United Nations. And we know that, Barrister, you are in the house. Our discussion point, the purpose of the United Nations. Can you go ahead and then talk to us? The United Nations has an ethics office and a think tank. Why is it so unprincipled in carrying out its duties?
Well, before I say that, before I get to that, I will treat first the first question. Why is it important for the world to have a functional United Nations? Pastor Commando, you remember, or you know, or all of us know, that the League of Nations was formed after World War I, and its role was to take care of peace and security around the world. Because after that brutal war of World War I, it was important to have an organization brought to being by the world to take care of security, to take care of peace and security around the world. Well, that worked until 1945, when the Second World War ended. The Second World War ended, and the League of Nations was transformed to the United Nations. Guess what, Pastor Commando? The transformation of the League of Nations to the United Nations resulted in the creation of today's United Nations, which is not the United Nations that was envisaged to take care of peace and security around the world. That was their objective. But what happened? The United Nations over the years has been transformed into a club, a world club, animated by the West to the detriment of the world, the other parts of the world. The West took the world hostage by creating a club for themselves called the United Nations of today. I want to challenge the United Nations this morning, if anybody can give me proof that since 1945, when the League of Nations was transformed to the United Nations has resolved any conflict anywhere around the world. All they have done is they have created conflicts around the world. The most important part of the world, from World War I to World War II, was Africa. That was colonized after the World Wars. And after World War II, the so-called United Nations did not get to decolonize Africa, if they ever did, until in the 1960s. The first one was 1957, and that was Ghana. And until 1960s, that they thought they could decolonize, what we will call today decolonization of Africa. Guess what, Pastor Commando? They used Africa like their farm and shared it among themselves in the colonial days. Right from when the first missionaries landed in Africa, they took Africa as a farm for them. They colonized it as a farm for them. They enriched themselves from Africa, and they are still enriching themselves from Africa to today. So what is the use of the United Nations today? A lot of intellectuals, a lot of people, a lot of thinkers and intellectuals around the world now know that the United Nations serves no purpose. It does. I mean, what purpose does it serve? They have they have the charter, which is not being respected. They have passed several resolutions which have not been respected. They have an ethics office. They have the Department of Economy and Social Affairs, which mean nothing. What they do is they serve the interests of the West. All they do is they serve the interests of the West, and they created something called the Security Council, where those who control that club were the kingmakers. They do and undo, and they have what you call veto powers. The question that Barrister Fru and the rest of the world is asking today is, what is the purpose of the Security Council with veto powers coming from dictatorial regimes? When I say dictatorial, that regimes that have colonized other countries and have exploited those countries to live on them, like France. It's a member of the Security Council with veto powers. Huh? Why did they create the Security Council? After defeating Germany, they thought that they should create an inner organ inside their club, so that they can continue to control the world. They can continue to exploit the world. Today, Africans are telling them enough is enough. And these are people, a group of people, they call themselves the United Nations. The General Assembly, which brings every country that they have recognized in the world, does not have any powers. All the powers are centered in the Security Council. Members of this General Assembly cannot affect any laws or charter or implement any resolutions around the world. It's only done by the Security Council, that club that has taken the world hostage. So for the United Nations to go back to the objective for which it was formed, the United Nations must be reformed. Africa today deserves to be a member of the Security Council, and the veto powers of anybody, any country in the world should be removed. What is the use of the veto powers today? It was then important for them because they wanted to control the world, to exploit the world, and they call themselves the civilized world, to control the world, and therefore they created their Security Council, which has veto powers. I am not against the creation of the Security Council, but what is the use of the veto power? Is to suppress the rest of the world. And today you have the United States, France, Great Britain, China, and which is the fifth? There are 5 of them in the Security Council, which have veto powers. And then, of course, to color it, every year they vote some inconsequential members into the Security Council, and they have only a simple vote. But as soon as one of the 5 votes against a resolution, that resolution dies immediately. France, which has colonized, which has never left Africa after they still colonize Africa to today. Because in all the African countries that France colonized, they got the African countries to sign agreements in 1959 with them called the Accord de Coopération and other military and economic agreements that virtually gave France everything. France owns everything in Francophone Africa, from the topsoil to the undersoil and to the heavens. Unless they tell you that, oh no, we don't want that one, you can give it to whoever. Is that the independence that the United Nations told the world that those countries that have colonized Africa should prepare them for independence? Is that the role? Is that what they were told to do? The United Nations, in one of its resolutions, said, I'm not going to bother you with the number of that resolution, but it said that all colonial masters, all colonial countries that have colonized Africa should prepare their people for independence. Pastor Commando, can you imagine that these two members of the Security Council, France and Britain, decided not to decolonize the southern Cameroons? They decided to share the southern Cameroons among themselves. And France sold the southern Cameroons. Great Britain sold the southern Cameroons to France.
Yeah.
The proof is there, and we'll discuss that later. But let me tell you, the United Nations is of no use now unless it is reformed. If it's not reformed, most countries will want to be like Somaliland. Somaliland has not been recognized up to today, but they are functioning. It's a functioning country. They have their resources. They are going ahead and managing themselves without the United Nations. That is an example to show you that the United Nations represents nothing today. They are a club. It's a club managed by the West. And every other country in the world is subjugated to the West, especially Africa. Africans now are waking up from sleep. You see, I listened to a debate where some renegade European in the European Union, I will call him an idiot because what he was saying makes no sense to me, was telling France to go and invade Niger. What does that mean to us Africans? It means that their farm cannot be allowed to go away, cannot be lost. France must take the initiative to preserve the farm.
And fight.
And fight. And I'm saying today that is short-sighted and stupidity, because it will never happen. Those African countries that have conducted coups have told the French and the world that they will not be subjected to anybody anymore. The CFA franc that was prevalent in those countries is now dying because they are forming their own currency, and they have said France is no longer welcome in their territories. We're talking about Guinea, we're talking about Burkina Faso, we're talking about Mali, we're talking about Niger, we're talking about very soon Chad, and maybe Cameroon, who knows? But let me say this. What is the use of the United Nations when France is asked to leave to take his army out of a country, a member of the United Nations, and France is allowed to take all his equipment and army and go to and occupy other African countries like Chad and Cameroon. France is withdrawing its military from Niger today, and all the military equipment, tankers and everything are lined up heading for Chad and Cameroon. And the United Nations is there folding arms. Is that the peace and security for which the United Nations was created? You can occupy any part of the world militarily as you want. When they drive you from one, you take your military and displace to the other.
Another, yeah. When they open the doors, they will have to do that.
I'm saying that the United Nations today represents nobody, nothing, until it is reformed. How can it be reformed? At least one African country should become a member, an important member of the Security Council. Yeah. Permanent member of the Security Council. If not, Africa has no use for the United Nations. Genocides have taken place on the continent of Africa, and the United Nations did nothing. When genocide took place in 1984 in Rwanda,
94.
They came out and said, never again, never again. God damn it. Genocide is taking place in the southern Cameroon today by La Republique de Cameroon, the French proxy, killing everybody in our territory, massacring our children, women and children, and parents and grandparents. And the United Nations is looking the other way. 7 years today, they are looking the other way. How are they going to tell Southern Cameroonians what happened in Gabu? How are they going to tell Southern Cameroon what happened in Pinyin, in Bali, in Baba Kitungo, in the killing of our children in St. Francis College in Piango Kumba, and the killing of our children in the Kondo Titi by the Cameroon military, a proxy military of the French? You tell me. So the United Nations, if it's not reformed, it's of no use today.
Okay, barrister. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You know, there are some of these things that really make the 21st century generation to be very angry with these clubs. Our president calls it a club of friends that they sit down and then take decisions against anybody they want to say is their enemy. But barrister, let's go back a step backward. What actually happened to the League of Nations that they shut down and then handed over to what we now call United Nations?
Look, the League of Nations was created after World War I.
Right.
And between World War I and World War II, the League of Nations was not as effective as it was supposed to be. They allowed European countries to colonize other parts of the world, like Africa. They continue to allow colonialism. They continue. They shared the world after some time, after the World War I, among themselves. And World War II broke out because of the Germans that were massacring the Jews. That's World War II. And the League of Nations was transformed into the United Nations. It's the same club that was started after World War I that was transformed to the United Nations. But with a difference.
Change of name.
It just had a change of name, but with a difference that they deviated from the objective. Even though on the books they maintain the objective of maintaining peace and security around the world, they changed to maintaining the economic interest of the West and powerful nations around the world. And that's the club that you have today called the United Nations.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I will cross over to Barrister Ellard. Barrister Ellard is actually very busy and will be talking to us through the phone as we get him give us the answers that we have, the question that we have for him on this subject matter. Hello, barrister.
Hello, Master Commando.
Yeah, are you there? Good morning.
Well, it's already going to 7 o'clock my time. It's not morning.
Okay, all right. So it's it's actually good evening because
Well,
it's
I'm
a few
very
minutes
sorry
to.
that I cannot be on camera, which is very bad. I really excuse myself for not being on camera.
No problem. Since we can hear you, we have no big problem with that. Now, remember, we are on ethics for developing Ambazonia. And the question we have for you in this subject matter is as we have been hearing and seeing what is going on in the world today, the way Ambazonians view the United Nations now is obviously different from before the war started. What are some of the bitter truths about the United Nations that Ambazonians must realize and stop hoping that the United Nations will stop the war and hand them their sovereignty? Over to you.
Thank you very much, and greetings to all the televiewers. I want to appreciate everybody who is here getting the true story about Amazonia and the international community. Also, greetings to our people at home front who are carrying all the burdens. And 21 gun salute to our ARF for their great job they are doing. Coming to your question, yes, as we were growing up, we knew that there is something called the United Nations, what that began as called the League of Nations. And we all knew that they are in for justice and they are out there to make sure there is no, let me use the word cheating, in the practice of international law in any other countries. And that is why they are called the United Nations, because they come together as one and decide on issues. But before the war, we were hoping that if there is something like what is happening today in Ambazonia, the genocide act committed by La République du Cameroon, this United Nations is going to come in the defense of the let me call it the weaker side, because we are stakeholders or non-stakeholders, while La République is stakeholders. They have the manpower, they have the economic power, they have everything more than us. Theoretically, we have more than them because all what they have comes from our side. And so we were hoping that they are going to make noise. But unfortunately, nothing happened because with Ambazonians now, we all have realized that United Nations is just a committee of interest. They have their own interests, and their interests have already been built in Ambazonia. And they know that letting Ambazonia go, those who are there in the so-called United Nations will lose all their interests. The resources they are getting for nothing from our territory will all fail because they have seen our action during this war and still will continue. In the time frame that we use to organize a government and how the government is working, taking care of our refugees, building up diplomacy, the defense is working. They have seen that we will want to act with them in the equal terms, and they don't like that. That is why today, Ambazonians, we all are disappointed with the United Nations. Absolutely, for us, yeah, as the world have started calling up that they should redo and see how these international, so-called international organizations are working, like the World Monetary Fund and all those things. So
IMF.
we are calling to see how the United Nations would be rescheduled, because they are absolutely not what we thought they are.
Well, all right. Thank you very much, Doc. Don't go away. We still have a question for you. Ladies and gentlemen, televiewers, I'm sure you are getting the answers coming as if they sat down in one place. Fortunately, Doctor was not hearing what Barrister Fru was saying, but he has used the same language, but just using different adjectives to describe what Barrister Fru described. So it means that the global view of what is going on in the UN now needs change. And they just ended, I don't know whether it has ended, General Assembly. I remember one African head of state or representative gave it very straight to the United Nations what our barristers are all saying inside here now, that United Nations needs overhauling because they have degenerated to having a club of friends that their purpose after its creation has been defeated. And so we want to go ahead and ask you, Barrister, that's okay, you're all Barrister, Dr. Ellard. We want to ask you, will you agree that the evil hatched and executed against the former British Southern Cameroons in 1961 by the United Nations is the root cause of the genocide that is going on in Ambazonia now?
Well, if I say yes, it's an understatement. That is, there should be another way. There's another word for yes, which will really give the tonation of agreeing. Because just yes is really an understatement. Yes, that is the root cause. Because we got a democratic election conducted by the so-called United Nations, where we had the highest vote on us for our independence. It was just for the United Nations now to stand up and declare and say it has been done and voted. You saw recently the United States of America voted to take out their McCarthy, the House of Representatives, the chair of the representatives. His own person put that vote on for him to be impeached and removed, and it happened. They voted there and counted the vote, and he was short of 6 votes. There and there, the House was vacated. There was no chairperson. We had the majority votes on this election for Ambazonia to become an independent country. And up till today, the documents are all in the United Nations that we are calling. It is really painful to call that word United Nations. The documents are there in their archive. They know everything. And we have sought out a lot of documents whereby the British, how do they call that thing? The one that was representing Britain in Ambazonia, in southern Cameroon then, and also the French, so-called, they have this, their name.
Colonial trusteeship?
No, I mean those who were there as the trusteeship representatives.
Governor General. Governor General.
Governor Generals.
Have read
Governor
the
Generals.
governors
Okay.
or whatever they call themselves.
Right.
The high commissioners.
Right.
Yeah, that is the word.
Okay.
Those high commissioners, they themselves, they were saying that we are qualified to be an independent, and if this independent will be refused, it will create come someday, it will generate a very serious problem that it will be very difficult for the international community to resolve it again.
Right.
Those documents are all out there. We have seen it. That means there are some people who personally refuse, because of their interest that I've mentioned, to declare us, to give us our independence that we duly deserve. So it is really a shame to see that people like Guterres, the Secretary General, and all the other so-called Security Council members who are there, we have seen their gymnastics they are playing. We have seen their mafia they play. You've never heard Russia and China in support of anything that is for America, and you will never see America and France and UK support of anything that is for Russia and China. So what are they doing there? They are for their own interest, because they have divided the world for their resources, and they are the root cause of all these things. And I want to say that, for what the hell will you put 5 people to represent something they call United Nations? They are the 5 countries who decide any policy and anything that will happen. Who are they to decide on behalf of Africa? We have the second largest population in the world. There is no single African country in the Security Council, and they decide upon us. So I will tell you, the yes to say on this question, Pastor Commando, is really an understatement. They are the cause of this war today.
Okay.
They are the cause of all the marginalization that La République, with his proxy master France, are using on us. Because when this thing happened and our independence was denied on us, the other people took us as slaves, as I don't know, non-humans, because they know that we can't do anything, so they can control us. And that's why they started all their marginalization and their control upon Ambazonians. And today, the children of those who were before have risen up, and they will know that, there are times you will touch what we call back in Ambazonia, Manawa. You will go and touch that their thing. They will not spink you. You will think, okay, it's easy for you to just go there and pick that their bees. One day that they will come out on you. Those is when all your eyes will be swollen, your face will be swollen, and then upon that you can even die of that their stunk that you got. So, Pastor Commando, I'm not the one saying it. We all know, Ambazonians all know, that the United Nations is the root cause of the war that is happening today, and our people die. They know that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. I know that you have just squeezed out time to answer these few concerns for Ambazonians to hear your opinion, and you are talking exactly what is in their mind. The last but not the least, for you to just tell us and give us your opinion and your answer to it, because I know that you have the answer, is this last point. Politics is, you have answered in some of the things you are saying there, but let me just say this. Politics is all about interest. Isn't it ironic that the oppressed nations provide the resources that their oppressors need to oppress them? Can the international community and La Republic be bothered about Ambazonia if they can not take back control of their natural resources from La Republic? Can they be bothered?
Very, very much bothered. And that is why you see they are still hanging. When we say we will fight until last man standing, they say they will hang until last man standing, only to steal resources. Yes, politics is total interest. We see it today. I'm sorry to say that. We see it today. Here in Germany, something is happening. Israel and Palestine, they are at war now. Things are happening. When people want to go out and solidarity with Palestine, it is being banned. I mean, it has never happened in Germany. We are seeing it openly. But when you are going out for Israel, it is allowed. Churches everywhere are praying everything for Israel. Look, we condone barbarism. Ambazonians are totally friendly and love peace loving country. We condemn everything that is barbaric. The way the Israelis were slaughtered, we condemn that with all the terms. And the way now that the civilians of Palestinians are being bombarded by the Israeli, we condemn that also. So you can see the interest now. Coming back to Ambazonia, France knows very well. Russian has told Sarkozy when he was the president in France that if Africa is not, France will go back to dead well country. And France knows that very well. We have seen that by Niger, we have seen it in Burkina Faso, we have seen it in Guinea, and we have seen their game that they have played to put their representative in Gabon, call it that is coup d'etat. All that is their game. They know that Ambazonia is their farm where they have to feed. La Republique knows very well that Ambazonia is where they get all their resources. And if they let go Ambazonia, let me tell Ambazonians one thing that they don't understand. People sit behind on social media, write a lot of stuff, condemn the president, condemn us that we are not doing anything in diplomacy, that no country have recognized us. See, the way we came into this struggle surprised the whole world. Look, for those who don't know, this struggle has been going on for more than 50 years now.
Yeah.
For more than 50 years now, we are not the first. But it has never been in this dynamics. The way we have entered into the struggle, the way this generation came in, they knew, those colonialists, they knew that is all those people will know who oppress them. When we will hit 1, 2 people, when we will cut their head as Sam Sawyer, their neck was cut, when we will put people and smash them as they put our Ambazonian under the chair, smash until the intestine came out, the other people will be afraid. They will all go back into their houses. They were taking our fathers and forefathers. They will use these pincers and pull off their nails, cut their tongues. I mean, what they have done to our people who have been fighting this war, like people like Mola Jolly Tumbe and the others of his age who have been fighting this struggle, is horrific for those who don't know. So they knew they will bring their barbaric way of doing things, and we will all
be scared,
retreat. We scared, go back and say, oh, these people again. But this time, they realize the war is on 2 fronts, because people sit back home there at home front and say, we are here in the diaspora, we are living well, our children are going to school, this, that, and that. They forget to know the essence of we being here in the diaspora. Because without us here in the diaspora, that war back home would have ended.
Yeah.
Because they would have terrorized those people. They would have done everything, cut off the internet as they usually do. But today we have all the solution. We have our people in the diaspora. Once their internet is cut off, we send them the information how to send us those gruesome graphic pictures out there, and we follow them up here the right way. So they are now afraid. They don't know what to do, how to do, and where to do it again. But as I have said, without the diaspora and only home front, we would have been defeated by La Republique.
Yeah.
And this is an asymmetric war. What is an asymmetric war? La Republique, as I have said, is a state actor. It's a country. They are all well organized in the sense of, I don't mean that they function well, but they are organized by having a president, military, and all those things. We are only defending ourselves. They come and kill our people. We defend ourselves by eliminating those their terrorist militias. If they kill 50 of our civilians and we take off 10 of their military, we have won. We are winning, and that's why you see they are crying every day. They have killed more than 50,000 our people. We have taken more than 1,500 or so their military. But we are the ones winning because we are non-state actors defending ourselves under the international law, which has been misused today because the international law is there, well stated, but the people who are the ones directing it have failed us totally. All those people sitting on the areas of so-called international court of justice, United Nations, European Union, all those people are thieves and failures. They should be all taken off and put new blood there and see how this new generation can see into the world with their own eyes that they are living. I call them social media generation, to see things in a way that they don't see that you are black, I am white, you are this color, I am this color, in order to discriminate. And so, let me tell you, Pastor Commando, is a matter of interest, but you know what? I will end by saying, if you take small pikin is something, you hold am for up as a big man because he no fit jump take am for your hand. Your hand go hot one time heavy, so that you go put am down, he take that thing. And that is when it's coming soon. We will take our independence from the so-called international community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ellard, for taking that time to come in and educate or re-emphasize what Ambazonians and the international community, they themselves, they know. What we want to make them understand is that we are in a generation that has evolved. And what happened in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s is not happening again this time around. Once again, thank you for your time. And we look forward to having you at another time on our program to educate us as you have just done. Thank you very much. Well,
Thank you, Pastor Commando. And I never knew my junior brother, Barrister So, was there. So let me thank him for always being present.
Barrister, he said he calls you his junior brother. All right.
Yes.
Those are the people that we need in this struggle. They are there 24/7 to educate the Ambazonia and let Ambazonians know we are winning. And the international community is not recognizing us, not because we have not done the diplomacy. It's because they are just afraid to see. They are not used to. That's why I'm crying that the generation change should happen. They are not used to equal terms. They don't see how Ambazonia will be independent and they want to come to us and we'll tell them, please, let's sit down and talk like equal people. No, they just want to send message that, okay, we need this barrel of oil from Sonara. And we just send it without talking, as they are paying whatever chicken change to Niger, getting uranium.
Okay.
And now Niger has realized itself. So we are in that. Look, it's a domino reaction. Then the next one is Ambazonia. We are already at the verge.
All right. Barrister.
Thank you so much.
Can you say what to your colleague before he goes?
Yes, thank you, Barrister. Thank you, Barrister, a lot for that analysis. A very
You
deep.
mean me to my young man to talk to me or me to him?
No, he's talking. He's
No,
talking.
I'm
Listen
talking
to him.
Barrister Ella. Thank you very much for that incisive analysis. Now, Pastor Commando, before we continue, I'd like to answer a question of which I think I don't know whether by you skipped it. How Poncha was disgraced on the 1st of October 1961.
No, that's a question that is coming to you, Barrister. Hold on. It's still to come.
Okay, go on.
So I just wanted you to greet your colleague so that he can go. Since
I have done that already. I am waiting for the next question, Pastor Commando, since we don't have much time. Pastor Commando, are you there? Are you there, Pastor Commando?
Sorry, Barrister, your friend was still talking. He was still talking. He has finished.
No,
okay.
well.
Now, yeah, let's just put this a minute musical pause, and then we'll come.
No. I don't. We don't have time. We don't have time because we need to finish the topic. So it's too late.
Barrister, I want to go to the question. Let me read the question while we get this 30 seconds, 1 minute musical pause, please.
Shame of the gospel. More than conquerors are we. I'm not moved by what I see. Only moved by the word of God.
Okay, thank you. Moved by the word of God. We are champions. Barrister, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Can the embarrassment of the Southern Cameroon's Prime Minister, Jongu Foncha, at the Tico Airport on September 30th, 1961, be considered the ultimate betrayal of the Ambazonian by the British?
The answer is a big yes, and it will be an understatement to just say a big yes. Let me start by telling you that in 1959, the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia met in a conference in Manfe and voted overwhelmingly for their independence. What happened that when they went to the United Nations, it was changed to have independence by joining. We are the only country in the world, the only colonial territory in the world that had its independence by joining. Why? In a fake referendum of 11 February 1961, they brought in joining. In Manfe, there was no La Republique, but in 1961, 11 February, they brought in either you join Nigeria or you join La Republique, indicating to us that the British had sold us to the French. And the only way to do it without losing a face was to bring us a fake referendum, a fake what you call plebiscite. And even after that plebiscite, that we voted to join the French Cameroon, which is in fact voting to join the French. The United Nations came up with a resolution 1608 that they themselves have been unable to execute. In that resolution, paragraph 5 says, the two parties plus their colonial master will sit down and determine the policies that will be applied in the joining. We are the only country in the world that had independence by joining. Why? The United Nations created the chaos that has resulted in a war between La Republique and the Southern Cameroons. And on the 1st of October, the Governor General of the Southern Cameroon that represented the United Kingdom, the British Empire, or the British government, the United Kingdom, brought down the Union Jack, Pastor Commando. In all independent countries, when you bring down the colonial flag, you hand it over to the incoming country. Yes. What happened? Ahijo was standing there at the airport in Tico with Poncha. And what happened? The flag, the Union Jack, was instead handed to Ahijo by the British, indicating that we have given you your gift. We have given it to you. That was a disgrace to us, because the British had granted us self-governance even before this their so-called plebiscite.
Right. Independence.
And we had a government. We had a government. You have a parliament. We have a prime minister, and the government. We have the House of Chiefs. We were a self-governing territory. Why did you not give that flag to Poncha? Because technically speaking, at the time that thing was taking place, we had not joined La Republique du Cameroon. Why did you not give the flag? And in us joining La Republique du Cameroon, we will ask La Republique to give us their own, to put their flag and the Union Jack, put it aside and bring the federal flag, for us to know that the joining had taken place. There was no joining, because Resolution 1608 was never applied. The Treaty of Union was never ratified by the two parties, including the colonial master, Britain, that skillfully stayed away from Pumban. Nothing happened in Pumban. The United Nations Secretariat does not have a copy of any Treaty of Union. And the Poncha was disgraced at the airport, and that was the beginning of our troubles. Before that, on the 30th of September, La Republique du Cameroon, knowing what the plan was, invaded our territory and took over our institutions, dissolved our government, dissolved our parliament, started appointing prime ministers from our territory. That was a disgrace to us. And that is the root cause, beginning of the root cause of the war that we're fighting today. Barrister Ella talked of more than 50 years. I would say more than 62 years we have been fighting La Republique du Cameroon, but the war this generation is now defending the war that La Republique du Cameroon declared on us. I heard an idiot on a television station in La Republique du Cameroon called Owonangini, with his face like that of a monkey. He told the world that we are terrorists. Of course, La Republique du Cameroon, apart from disgracing Foncha, is also that of terrorists. They call us now terrorists. They live Their economy is dependent upon us, but we are still their terrorists. Ounangini told the world that we are part of Cameroon. They cannot negotiate. They cannot negotiate with us because we are terrorists, and that they will never negotiate with terrorists because if they negotiate with us, another part of Cameroon can do the same thing. This is a man who calls himself a politolog who does not know Cameroon history. How did we get to join them? Does Guinea not know that we had independence by joining them? Does he not know that we're a separate country from them? How can he be comparing us to another part of La République du Cameroon? The disgrace continues to today, and they call us terrorists. We are styled, every Ambazonia now is a terrorist for La République du Cameroon citizens. And each time they are talking, they say, 6,000 people have died in the southern Cameroon. I'd like to inform them that that is a total lie. We have lost more than 50,000 of our citizens killed by La République du Cameroon in genocide, organized all over the territory, and the military mowing down families, going from house to house, killing our people, and expecting that they'll kill all of us and resettle Francophones in our territory. And yet, they talk of 6,000 deaths. What a fallacy. Pastor Commando, to answer your question, the disgrace of Poncha at the airport was the epics of our present day generational history. The history today cannot be told without that incident in southern Cameroon, where the Union Jack was handed to Ahidjo. Why? The British are the most hypocritical. They are the most hypocritical nation in the world, and they are sitting there at the Security Council with the veto power. They have, since this war started, and our citizens have been mowed down, our villages have been destroyed. The British have said nothing, not a word. It's only African descents that are in Parliament that have brought this issue in discussion in Parliament, and it never took place. Nothing happened. King Charles, the present day King Charles, the present day King Charles was then Prince Charles. He visited Bamenda and thought that we were in darkness, and he offered a generator. Does that not tell him that that part of the British Empire that they abandoned, that they gave to the French, are being treated like slaves? Since the war started, what has Prince Charles or now King Charles done? Nothing. How did Cameroon become a member of the Commonwealth? It's through us. Because we were part of the British Empire during the colonial days. And what is the Commonwealth saying now about the massacre, the genocide, and everything, every killing, extrajudicial killing that is taking place in the southern Cameroon? What have they said? Nothing. The guns that Ayabacho is using to mow down our people, to execute our people in public, has been supplied to him by La République du Cameroon. What are the British saying? Nothing. What is the rest of the world saying? Nothing. So when it comes to Africa, genocide, they turn the other way. When it comes to another place where the United Nations created chaos, I am not against the formation of the Israeli government in 1948, but I'm saying that the United Nations created the chaos in Palestine, where the war is taking place today, because they created the state of Israel, which was a good thing, but they did not go the next step to protect, to create boundaries between Israel and the rest of Palestine, and that's where the problem is. They say they are for peace and security around the world, but yet they create conflicts around the world. They created the war in Ambazonia. They created the war between Israelis and Palestine. And I don't want to sit here and begin to enumerate the disaster, the chaos that the United Nations, the so-called United Nations, has created around the world. And the question I ask is, what is the use of the United Nations if their only objective is to create chaos around the world? Look at Ukraine and Russia. Russia will be a member of the Security Council. A permanent member of the Security Council has the right to invade another territory. And of course, since it is a Western country, the rest of the Western world has mobilized to defend Ukraine. But Southern Cameroon, France, through Southern Cameroon, has invaded the Southern Cameroon and is killing our people. Have you heard anybody, any Western country, or anybody in the world condemn it? Because we are not humans, Africa will be liberated. Ambazonia will have its nation. Ambazonia will be free. Thank you very much, Pastor Commando.
Thank you very much, Barrister, for that analysis. I think the whole world and all those who are listening to what we are saying here know that we are not different from all those who have been to the United Nations General Assembly from Africa, especially in this year 2023, to speak out their minds. And they are getting up to realize that the stooges they have used and put in Africa to play their game and do their whatever in Africa will not continue. So because they know that, they should better sit up. Yeah, are you calling to talk in the program, sir? Hello? Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'm calling to contribute on the program. Do you have room for that?
Go ahead. The microphone is yours.
Okay, I want to give a big thank you to Barrister Fro and Barrister Elad for their contributions to the program today. And I just want to add this, that just like I had taken some time out last month, September, to talk more on the failures of the United Nations. I am glad that Barrister Fro is following suit in that light to point their flaws that they have paid a deaf ear. I remember when this war just began, when Pobia declared this war on us. Few months later, Antonio Guterres was coming from Central African Republic, I don't know for what mission, and landed in Yaoundé 8 p.m. Yaoundé time, straight to 8 today. Received his golden statue from there and went back and remained muted. To the point that God even sent one of our own that was not an Ambazonian, but carried a case on his back as one of the journalists at the United Nations, who will always, after every briefing of Antonio Guterres, will ask a question concerning Ambazonia. Do you know this Antonio Guterres ordered that guy should be fired as a journalist at the United Nations? What I am trying to say is this: Antonio Guterres should go down memory lane and look at the history of United Nations Secretary General from 1953 to 1961 in the person of Dag Hammarskjöld. Dag Hammarskjöld was one of those very, very, very kind United Nations Secretary General that was given the mandate to decolonize all countries that were being held by all these European countries in Africa. And that Hamajok, when it came to the case of Ambazonia, when this fake referendum thing or plebisciting was done, he looked at the situation after the 11 February false plebiscite that has no bearing anywhere. He called for a vote at the United Nations on the 26th of April that these people have ruled themselves from 1954 till now. Any attempt to force them to live with La République du Cameroon it will be like pushing a balloon under the water, and one day that balloon will come up. And when the United Nations voted, 64 member states voted for our independence in April of 1961, waiting for our declaration in 1st of October 1961, the Hamajok, they conspired and his plane was crashed and he died. And that is how the maneuver of the international community continued, because they killed the same person that would have declared our independence, because he was against this falsehood of saying that we should join French Cameroon. The vote at the United Nations was not any vote by joining. For those people in Ambazonia, these sellouts that are there to propaganda the agenda of French Cameroon, we want to let them know it was never tabled at the United Nations that the vote was for us to join French Cameroon. It was for our freedom, for our independence. And that is what was tabled at the United Nations by the Hamajok. And they voted 64 member countries against 23 and 10 abstinence. And so when we see people go and collect blood money from La République, and they go around trying to agenda and propaganda this falsehood, like Barrister Fu is talking about, one of those who started in their television and was lying. We stand here to let them know, like as I was praying yesterday, for everyone in any county in Ambazonia, anyone in any LG that stand up to say we were one with French Cameroon. Let the gods of that village rise up and visit you. I was talking precisely to Mbelamuki and Agbobaladem and the rest that stand up there, and the Monzos and the Anyangwes, that let the gods of their villages, I'm not even talking of the Almighty God, that is too just, let the God of their own villages rise up and answer them in that falsehood that they are propagandizing. And to add, I want the world to know that Hamajong lost his life because of Ambazonia, and we will not take it lightly. Like the Barrister Ella has said, the never again generation has risen. Never. They cut the neck of Samsoya and brutalized Mami Apia them and kill people so that we should be frightened. But they did not know that there is a generation that the more you do the evil, the more they are determined. And this is that generation, and Ambazonia must be free, whether the world like it or not. Thank you so much. I just wanted to add that to what they have been doing. Thank you so much for the program.
Thank you so much for that contribution. Thank you very, very much. Those are the kind of words we want to hear, and we're hearing from different Ambazonian positions. We know that they're talking the same thing, but with a different language and different vocabularies. Thank you very much, Reverend, for that insight. I want to let Ambazonians know, and the international community, that we are simply saying that United Nations keeping France and Britain in their camp with all this fraud that they started in the 60s, they should wake up and do the right thing. That's what we are talking about. And we are expecting that somebody who is sane will get up from that group and refuse that club membership and speak the truth for once, so that people can be free around the globe. Once again, thank you very much for that contribution, Reverend. Our telephone
I have just, Pastor Commando, I have just sent to you, I've sent to your phone now, the publication of the Hamajo, which I posted it on Facebook yesterday when one of my friends sent it to me. And I saw Dr. Ayim also posted it on Facebook. And we should make this declaration known that the Hamajo, who was the United Nations Secretary General, as of 1953 to 1961, stood for our freedom, stood that Ambazonia must be free, and gave them the threatening words that uniting Southern Cameroon to the Cameroon Republic is like forcing a balloon under the water, and one day it will come out. Those are his words. That is the publication I've sent to you with his face on it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. Dak Hammarskjöld, United Nations Secretary General, 1953 to 1961. I do not know whether the present General Secretary Guterres has read this document, because if the other Secretary Generals that passed through that particular office did not see this document, he who is seeing the document now should sit up, or else history will not let him go free. Now, before we conclude with you this program, I want to quickly go back to the last statement, or the last question that we have for today, for Barrister to put Ambazonians through. Is very, very important for us to get this last question. And Barrister, coming back to you, what can member nations with conscience in the United Nations do to bring about the much needed reforms that we need? I mean, the truth and justice that needs to be done on Ambazonia, as past and present are crying out for the reality to happen, for the real thing to happen. Because if Ambazonia was just fighting to break off part of the state, like the fellow you quoted from the French Cameroon, I don't know what, or Guinea, or whatever name he calls himself. You know, some of them actually went to school to be taught how to, they are taught how to cut and paste. That is copy work. They don't think. And whatever they are told, they don't do any research. They sit down, believe it, and swallow it. But an average Ambazonian goes in to listen to what is being taught, comes out, bring up his own initiatives, look into what teacher has said, bring in what he can bring in the now to make things to go the way they're supposed to go. But sometimes that's why I don't blame most of these guys who call themselves politicians in La Republic of Cameroon, because they are just
Let me answer.
here and say. Go ahead.
Let me answer the question. Pastor Commando, I will repeat myself. The United Nations needs to be reformed, or the United Nations should not exist. Member states of the United Nations must insist on taking off the veto powers in the Security Council. Number one. Number two, member countries must ensure that all parts of the world are represented in the Security Council as permanent members. Africa, till today, there's no country in Africa that is a permanent member of the Security Council of the United Nations. So Africa's interest is not being protected by that club. And 54 African nations today do not have any protection or anybody to speak for them in the Security Council. There must be a permanent member, at least one, because China from Asia, about 3 from Europe and America, they are the permanent members of the Security Council with veto powers. Those veto powers, the time has come to take away, to vote for the General Assembly to vote and take away those veto powers from those powerful nations that have decided to take the world as their farm. Those are the reforms. Until that happens, then they should vote to dissolve the United Nations. And if need be, reformulate what the United Nations is supposed to do around the world. United Nations was formed through the League of Nations. It was never envisaged to remain a permanent organization to control the world the way they like. It has become a club of friends to protect their interests. It's divided into two, one protecting the West, the other protecting the East. China and Russia on the one side, and the other three on the other side. They control the United Nations and they say what they like, they do what they like. Africa is not being protected. But Africa is the richest continent in the world. And the other day I was listening and I heard 10 rich countries in the world, and African countries were at least 4 or 5, including Cameroon. And why are they talking about Cameroon? Because Cameroon is rich today because of the southern Cameroons. The oil, the minerals, the oil are all found in the Gulf of Guinea of the southern Cameroon. The important minerals in the world are found in the southern Cameroons. And yet, the British gave us up because, according to them, we were not economically viable. Today, they are doing, they have buried their head in the sand, but open one eye and doing business with La Republic of Cameroon, backward business to steal our oil and gas. The British. That's how hypocritical and wicked they are. I say this to the world, and let King Charles hear what I'm saying. He should act and protect the interests of the British by coming to save, to secure the lives of the Southern Cameroon and leave Southern Cameroon an independent state. He was asked, they were asked to prepare us for independence, not to give us out by talking independent by joining. We are suffering today because of our colonial master, the United Kingdom. And yet, none of them has condemned the genocide going on in Southern Cameroon. None of them has condemned anything. So the members of the United Nations General Assembly have a duty to act now, or they will lose Africa from the United Nations. We don't have any reason to remain in the United Nations. African countries, all of them, all of us. We have no reason to remain in the United Nations if they cannot reform the system, if they cannot dissolve that club and make it a representative organization for the world, for peace and security around the world, not to create chaos around the world, not to create all kinds of conflicts around the world, not to protect certain powerful nations around the world. France is France today because of Africa, and they have been facilitated by the United Nations. Has anybody ever questioned how France decolonized is part of Africa that it colonized? France never actually left Africa. They pretended to have given independence to African countries. No, sir, they did not. Because they still control the wealth of Africa. They collect all the minerals in Africa. Uranium, oil, gold. Even the British have gold from Africa. The British pound is strong because of the gold reserve. Let anybody in the world show me where there's a gold mine in Europe, in Britain, in the United Kingdom. France is what it is today because it has gold reserves. Let anybody show me where there is one gold mining mines in France. All that, what they take now prop their currencies has come from the African continent. It's time for Africa to cut off from the United Nations if United Nations cannot be reformed. That is my call this morning to the world, to those who are in the United Nations, other than those who control the United Nations. We can dissolve this United Nations if they refuse to reform. If they refuse to relinquish their veto powers and refuse to admit Africa as a permanent member in the Security Council, then we don't have a reason to stay there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Barrister. The fire has been lit. The youths have risen up with their energy, with their intellect, and everything that they have. There is no hiding place for the white supremacists that they thought that in the 1960s they were the little gods. But today we have discovered and known even more than them that they can no longer continue to push the African man under their table. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is at this juncture that we come to the end of our ethics for an emerging Ambazonia today, and talking about the consequences of the 1961 illegality against the people of Southern Cameroons by, first of all, Britain, that was a trustee authority over us, and then by France trying to buy over the Southern Cameroons through a bribery and corruption to the Britain, and the United Nations stamping it upside down and pretending to look away from what is happening. Because, like has been said here very vividly, the only country in the world that had independence by joining is the former British Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. And we have risen up today to say no. Yeah, we have said no to it, and it remains to be no. We're looking forward to seeing you
And may I
in our next
and may I add, Pastor Pastor Commando, that the United members of the Security Council, members of the General Assembly, should immediately recognize the independence of the Southern Cameroons, at least those who voted for that independence. Even those who did not vote, they now know the truth. Recognize the Southern Cameroons' independence and set us free from this genocide that is going on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is said that it is humanly to err. When you err as a human and you are corrected, sit up as a man and take the correction and do the right thing. And so we are calling upon the United Nations, especially Britain. I did hear that Prince Charles, when he was a prince, is now the king. He visited Ambazonia and donated a generation to us at that time.
A generator.
Yes, a generator. Donated a generator to produce light at that time when we were still under the trusteeship of Britain. And so
No. He visited when we were under La République du Cameroun. And discovered that there was no light.
1961.
Yes. After we joined La République du Cameroun, and he found out that there was no light in Bamenda. So he went back and sent the generator and donated a generator to Bamenda.
Okay. All right. So King Charles.
He knew. So he knew that we were not being treated as slaves, and he did nothing till today.
You now are sitting in the throne of your mother, who also visited Southern Cameroons at that time. Visited Southern Cameroons possibly before or during the independence. I don't know what time, but she visited Southern Cameroons as a trusteeship colony to them, and had a working session.
That was before independence. Before our independence.
That's right. Yeah, he visited us
That's the
before
queen.
our independence. That's the queen, yeah. And all these are naked and truthful stories that history cannot hide, and you cannot cover them up. And that's why we are calling on you, that we have been sitting quiet, and today we want you to join us to tell the Republic that we had a willing mind to work as a country and a country, but they decided to think that we are not qualified to be a country and not even qualified to be a people, and try to put us where they have been trying to put us. We have risen up to take our nation back to ourselves, to when we were before the fraud and the mafia that came in 1961 took place. And so with that, we want to say that United Nations, sit up. Well, until then, we want to say goodbye and see you on our next program. Thank you very much, and God bless you as we look forward to the next program in the next few days. It has been Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia in this 21st century. And today we actually emphasize the consequences that we are going through now as a result of that illegality. God bless you.
From the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, "Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society."
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the one